We're going to get more on that historic night last night. Right now, England through to a second consecutive Euros final.
Yeah, delighted to say Gary Neville joins us now live from Germany. Gary, brilliant to see you. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know it's pretty early over there still, so thank you very much. Great to see you. Before we get into it, just want to talk about the size of the achievement because, look, a second consecutive Euros final for England. It feels like, you know, in recent years, fans have sort of become used to going deep in tournaments, certainly under Gareth Southgate anyway. But for you, tell us just about how big an achievement this is.
It's an incredible achievement, I think, to get to all Gareth's tournaments. I even put the quarter-final in Qatar as being a decent achievement as well. They were playing against a fantastic French team and thought played really well in that match, and you can sometimes come out the wrong side of a game like that. I just think in all four tournaments, they've achieved their maximum. They've hung in there. They've played good football. They've had a good spirit. They've been together. And Gareth, and I said it last night on television, he is the most experienced and intelligent Englishman that's, I suppose, that ever lived when it comes to actually experiencing tournaments in men's football. You know, the way in which he's obviously seen tournaments from a youth level, the way in which he's seen tournaments as a player, and now seeing tournaments as a coach. He's using all that experience that he's had to be able to sort of navigate England through to the sort of last stages of these tournaments. And the players have needed guidance along the way. They've needed calmness and composure. Because with England, there is always a lot of scrutiny, and there's been scrutiny in this tournament, and to have to cope with that and, if you like, unblock those paths that exist in your way as an England manager, it's been absolutely outstanding, particularly for him, but also for this group of players, particularly the ones who've been there for the last 4 years in totality, because to get to 2 Euro finals is amazing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And England were brilliant, Gary, last night. There's no doubt about it. But they were helped with one, should we say, controversial penalty decision in that first half. You and Ian Wright had a very interesting strikers versus defenders view on it in the TV studio last night. Do you still feel as strongly about it this morning?
Yeah. I mean, look, we've had some bad decisions over the last 20, 30, 40 years. So we're in a position where we might have got the right side of one that's been favourable to us last night. In fact, I think we did. So I'm not sort of talking about it from that perspective, but I'm talking about it just purely from the Defenders Club point of view that, you know, I saw the Denmark went out of a tournament a couple of weeks ago because of that handball where, you know, the lad basically sort of just was, you know, trying to sort of move his body towards it. It was ridiculous. And last night, I mean, you have to be able, in the box, when the ball's sort of, if you like, free and in the air, to be able to go and try and block a shot as a defender. If we'd have gone out of the tournament last night to that decision, I would have been absolutely fuming. I'm less fuming because we haven't gone out of a tournament, and obviously it's Holland that have gone out, so obviously we don't care as much about it. But if we're talking about it from a purely football point of view, I thought it was a terrible decision, and I didn't think it was a penalty at all.
Just to stick with the positives then, Gary, obviously Harry Kane put the penalty away. Loads has been said this tournament about whether he's fully fit, about his sharpness. I had to sort of double check and triple check this stat when I read it because it sounded incredible. That his 9th goal in knockout stages of major tournaments, more than any other European player in history. When you read that, you go, that is staggering. Just how important is he to England, but even when he's not fully fit?
Of course he's important. I mean, I sat with Wayne Rooney 4 weeks ago, a week or so before the tournament started, and he said that Harry Kane, in his opinion, and I never thought of it like this, was the greatest England player ever. Now, that is sort of massive praise from someone who's been around the block with England, Wayne Rooney. And I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't fight to disagree with him either. I think Harry Kane's been absolutely sensational. His record, you know, I always called him when he was at Tottenham, he's like gold. You just know full well that he's going to deliver for you. He's solid character. I think he is obviously below his best in this tournament. It does look like he is carrying something, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it emerged in a week or two that he's had issues during this tournament with something that he's been sort of, you know, trying to bandage up. But you look at that record now and you think about who he's up there with. Some of the sort of great strikers and goal scorers of all time are on that list. And obviously Kylian Mbappe is seen as being the best player in the world right now. So, look, Harry Kane is someone that ultimately at this moment in time, he won't be dropped by Gareth Southgate. I know there is sort of consensus that people think that we'd be better without him. but it wouldn't send a great message, I don't think, to the squad internally. I think he's very clearly their leader. I think Gareth Southgate has full and total faith in him. And I also think if you're the opposition team, he is still England's sort of talisman. He's the man who's gone over to Germany this year and sort of ripped it up from a goal-scoring perspective. So I think if the Spanish team on Sunday are a fantastic team, are looking at our team sheet, I think they'll be thinking that Harry Kane's going to start. And obviously we've seen last night and in previous games what Ivan Toney and what Ollie Watkins did last night, that we've got brilliant players to come off the bench and be able to disrupt what might be a game that's not going well for England.
Gary, the players and Southgate have received a lot of criticism on the way to the final. But after this result, I mean, results change everything, don't they? Do you see there being a real togetherness between the players and the manager and the fans leading into that final now?
Oh, definitely. I mean, to be fair, Gareth did a really honest interview before the game last night, which was shown on the programme, where he talked about the fact that this sort of fear of embarrassment had sort of hit his squad in the first couple of weeks of the tournament, and that they were so sort of like tense, and they were sort of playing with sort of, they were playing as if they were a little bit scared and a little bit in fear, which is something that's happened to England teams over many, many tournaments over many, many years. And Gareth's done really well to remove that. But you know, the way in which I think Jude Bellingham spoke after a game and others and Gareth Southgate, they alluded to it again. And they got criticism in the first part of the tournament because they were rolling the dice. You know, we were 80 seconds away from going out of this tournament, and that would have been a massive shock, but also a huge disappointment with the talent that's in this group. They've had the resilience, they've had the know-how, the tournament sort of savvy experience to be able to get through those difficult moments. They sort of scoring the last-minute goals in 2 games now, obviously getting through on penalties. But what we started to see last night, particularly in the first half, was the ability of the players and the fact that in the first half, you know, Ronald Koeman had to change it. He had to beef up his midfield because particularly Phil Foden, Kobbie Mainoo were outstanding last night. Phil Foden was a joy in that first half. He was just watching him sort of play was with this idea that we sort of, why can't he play like he does for his club? What we saw in that first half last night was world class. The way in which he accepted the ball, it was brilliant to see an English player play like that in such a big game. And I think that what we've wanted to see is more of that during the tournament. Now, there are 2 reasons, obviously, why that's not happened. One is that we've been played against teams that have been very deep and very solid, and that's made it difficult for us. And they've not been as adventurous as maybe the Dutch team were in the first half. But also this thing that Gareth alluded to of this sort of fear, if you like, of going out of a tournament early and not achieving what they should do has obviously hampered them, and they've allowed criticism to sort of soak in for the first time. They'll be better for it. They'll be more experienced for it. They'll learn from it. But the most important thing is that they've got through those difficult moments and those bits of criticism that will always come your way. And to get to a final now, their confidence will be sky high, albeit they are playing against probably the team of the tournament so far, Spain.
Yeah, well, just to pick up on that then, while maybe England have sort of been building through this tournament, I mean, Spain have just been the standout side of the event so far. I mean, just how tough is this final going to be on Sunday?
Really tough. I mean, before the tournament, I don't think there were many people shouting Spain. I think they were 5th or 6th favourites. I certainly wasn't. But from very early on in the tournament, they've just had the right balance in their team. They've had a consistency to them. The 2 central midfield players, Ruiz and Rodri, are absolutely fantastic. I think they've been outstanding. We're going to really have to work hard to stop that. You know, all their attacks at source through them. And Gareth will be working on that with the players, I'm sure, in this next few days. They've got the 2 exciting wide players who are sensational. It will be really difficult. But the England team in this tournament have found a way. They've found a way to be able to navigate through the sort of the obstacles that have been in their way and the obstacles that have been on their path. And they're going to have to do that again on Sunday. But, you know, the Spanish have been the standout team during this tournament. And what I would say is that we're getting better, gradually getting better each game and starting to grow and starting to perform. And you're starting to see some of the habits and performance levels from players that we've seen in Premier League matches and previous England games. So it's going to be a brilliant final on Sunday. Everyone's looking forward to it. And the fact that we're in there is just sensational. But, like, I think now just feels like I don't know if it's written in the stars with what's happened in this last 10 days because of the last-minute goals, nearly being 80 seconds from out of the tournament, the penalties. Obviously, last night, Ollie Watkins coming on and scoring late on. All these things sort of just sometimes give you a feeling that something's happening. Now, they've obviously got to get through the game on Sunday. They can't rely upon that, the players. But in sport, sometimes you just get a sense that maybe the time is now when you've seen the challenges that the players and Gareth have come through in this last 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, really hope it is written in the stars. Gary, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lovely to chat to you as always, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.